Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Firebot. Firebot is a third-party tool you can install on your PC and use with streaming and with your streaming software, whether it's Streamlabs OBS or if it's OBS 28 or if it's SC.live OBS. It all works with all of them. It's a great tool to use. It's much like Stream Elements or Nightbot, except you can customize it a lot more than you can in Stream Elements or Nightbot. And you can set up a lot of different timers and different commands which will automatically play without you having to do a single thing. So you can use things like StreamerBot, but I do recommend Firebot for those just starting out as a quick stepping stone before you get into the really advanced, settings up of things like StreamerBot. So Firebot is what I use on a day-to-day basis in my streams, and it runs all of my commands, my shoutouts, stuff like that. So I do highly recommend it to anyone who is looking for a different bot or a different solution to Stream Elements or Nightbot on Twitch. So first we'll go over to the web page. So if you're using Chrome, Edge, Mozilla Firefox, doesn't matter. I'm using Opera GX because that's my default browser. So that's what I'll be using for this example. It doesn't matter what you use. If you go to your search bar and you put www.firebot.app, it will bring you straight to this screen, the download screen. And all you've got to do is double click download. Save it to your downloads folder. And then open your downloads. There it is. And then what you want to do is double click it. And what will come up next is a Windows protects your PC, so it's Microsoft Defender, and it's doing its job basically. It recognizes there's no publisher. Don't worry, this link is fine. It's just it doesn't know it because it's not in its actual store. So we're going to click run anyway because it's perfectly safe. Otherwise I would have got a notification from my security software. So it's going to install, and mine's going to install slightly different to how yours will. So now Firebot's opening. This is the page you'll be greeted by. So welcome to Firebot, and all you want to do is click get started. So we won't worry too much about the bot account because it's not necessary. So we're going to start by adding a streamer account. Now it'll take you straight to a Twitch authentication page. Mine's automatically logged in because I've got Twitch authentication set up on my PC. So you may just need to enter your username, password, and then authorize it. So now that's successful, can go back to the Firebot app, and you'll see it's added my account in there. So then we'll click next, and this will give us our overlay. Now I'll show you how to find this overlay in a little bit, and we'll put it into OBS. So now you're all set. So first thing we'll do is I'll show you how to find that overlay again. So we'll go to settings, and in here you've got all your advanced settings and setups. So we're going to select the overlay. The overlay is what's going to allow us to bring sound and bring images into our stream using Firebot. So all you need to do is get the overlay URL. You can do this just by clicking on it, and what it says is it will tell you how to do it, and it will work with things like OBS, Streamlabs, XSplit, and direct link to PC setup. And how you can have this overlay, it's got really simple instructions, but I'm going to show you anyway. And all it is posting that URL here into a browser source web page. So let's go over to OBS now, and all you've got to do is click on our plus button, click browser, and we're going to call this Firebot overlay one, say. So I think I've already got one set up, and all it'll do will bring this up. So like Firebot said, make sure your resolution is set to either 1920 1080 or 1280 720, depending on whether you want HD or full HD. So I'm going to set mine to 1920 by 1080, and that's just full HD res. There we go. So right clicking on it opens your properties, and all we're going to do is paste that in there, and we're going to set control audio via OBS, so then we can see it. And then just there, that's our Firebot overlay. We make sure that's at the top because it's going to draw over all your other sources, over your camera, it's going to draw over your games, anything you've got. Remember, that's the top of your queue. That's going to be the top of your page. So now we're going to go back into Firebot. Now we know our overlay is completely set up, we can then start on working on commands. So we're only going to do basic commands and basic setup here, as it is a shorter tutorial, you know, just getting you your basis set up and getting you into it before we start going to anything really technical. So the first command we're going to start with is a shoutout command, and this is for when you get other streamers coming to your chat or your friends and you just want to like shout them out to give a follow link and a little advertisement for them in your own stream if you want to do that. So what we're going to call this, the standard for Twitch is !SO. Most moderators or anyone will come in, they'll know that's the command to shout someone out. We're going to set this to mods only, so people can't spam it. So only your mods or you can actually use this command. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this. So I've already got one pre-made, but I'll explain what it means. So in here I've done @target. So when you're doing a normal command, you have to use a certain syntax. So in Firebot, it's $target. So when you're doing a command about a person, so when I type this in, I'm going to do !SO example, or my own namesake. Now, if I do $user, what it will do is it will grab the person's name who sent the command, rather than the person's name you want the command to apply to. So essentially I could do SO at Henry this isn't what you'd normally do. This is in the just in the command window to show you. So at Henry Hoo-ha. Now if say one of my mods said this command and it was set to user, it'd shout them out instead of shouting out my name. But I'll show you how that works. So if you go into here, it gives you your variables. So target, it will give you an explanation as to what it means. So similar to the argument variable, it strips out any leading @ symbols. So when you're trying to send someone's name, if you do an @, which you would normally do in your Twitch chat because it would automatically bring it up, you can remove that @ symbol to make it look more fluid. But you don't need to do it. You just do $target and it does it. And then you do the same with their Twitch link. You put $target so it grabs their Twitch name again, as that's everybody's like twitch.tv handle. They were last streaming $category @target. So it will grab what they were last streaming from their profile without you having to do anything. You don't need to go and search through it. That's just a base command you'll use. And then you just click save. That is your first command loaded. And you can see only moderators or streamer can use that role. So that's your basic like shout out command. And now we're going to set up a basic TTS command. Because I know a lot of people who have been like, oh, I really want to know how to do TTS on my stream. This is how. This is a great tool to be able to do that. So we're going to click new command. And we're going to do !TTS. Now, what we do need to do is switch to advanced mode, because advanced mode will give us those extra options and effects. So when we switch here, we're going to say not right now. So TTS is text to speech. It's up to you if you put a description in each time. You can if you want to, you don't have to. Now to prevent spamming of TTS, I usually set global cooldown to 10 and the user cooldown to 20 seconds. And it just means that people can't constantly do it. And we'll use a custom cooldown message, which means if anyone tries to use it before their cooldown's up, it will say this command is still on cooldown for X amount of seconds. And then what we can do is we can add an effect, and that effect we're going to add is literally called text to speech. Select. And then what you can do is you can put in whatever text you want. So we're going to set under the variables again. So this is where the variables come into hand. So we want to grab an argument. Now, when you click other examples, it'll bring more commands down, and we're going to do argument all. And what that means is that someone can type TTS in your channel, and then immediately it's going to recognize it as a TTS command because you've got the same handle exclamation TTS. And then that $arg all will basically take any text after that command and print it out into a language which Firebot can read and use in TTS. And that's literally all you have to do on TTS. Now, if you do want to, I set mine up with certain permissions. So if you select restrictions and you add permissions and click add, you can then go into it and decide who's allowed to use this. Now, I've got mine set up so my streamers, moderators, and all my subs can use it. If no one's a sub, if people aren't subbed, they can't use it. It just prevents, you know, any additional spam or trolling when people come to your channel and just start spamming loads of text into TTS. It's not helpful, and it's not all that great. And I'm going to show you another way to get around this as well. So now we've set up our roles, and it shows there, and we set up our text speech. What you can do to prevent spamming is you can add a new effect, and it's called a delay. Pause between effects. Pretty self-explanatory, and we're going to set this to 10 seconds. And then we're going to add another effect and call it clear effects. And what this will do is remove effect overlays, stop sounds, clear effect cues. And all we're going to do is clear the sounds. Done. And what that means is that if anyone does post an extremely long message into TTS, it will play for the first 10 seconds, which is usually enough for most sentences or paragraphs. And then once it reaches that end of 10 seconds, it will just cut off and stop it. So you don't have people, when they come into your channel and they put 2007s into chat, and your bot would be sat there going 777,709, that sort of thing. And you're going to eliminate them being able to do that. It's completely your choice if you want to add these or not. It's just how I've learned from mistakes and set my channel up and save. That is our TTS setup now. And those are mainly most of the basic commands. The only other one you could add is a raid message. Hashtag, or no, exclamation raid message. Set it to mods only. And then you can set your raid message. This is my basic raid message. Which is for people who aren't subbed to me. And all I've done is I've used the Tomb Raider in Twitch, in the actual like Twitch chat window, written something in between, and then used the Tomb Raid symbol again and just copied it and pasted it straight into here. And it will come out as text, but when your bot actually posts it, it will come out as the emotes in Twitch. And that's it. That is your basic commands. You shouldn't need anything else in reality. So you can see here, moderator, streamer can use SO, moderator, streamer and subs can use TTS, and your moderators or streamers can use raid message. So what you want to do now is set up something what we'd call a preset effect list. So we're going to set up our alerts in this, and now the reason we do this in here rather than in our events, which we'll get to in a bit, is because you only have to set it up once. Whereas if you set up an event you'd have to set it up 6 times, 7 times for however many different effect cues you want. So if we set up a preset effect list, we only have to set it up once for that specific effect, and then you never have to do it again. And if you need to change it, you just change it in here, and it will change it in all of your other commands too. So the first preset effect list we're going to set up, we're going to call it follow. And then the effect we're going to add, now with Firebot, they've got a preset set up called celebration. And we're going to set a follow up with confetti for 5 seconds. Nice and simple. And then what you can do is you can set it to play a sound if you want. Now I've got mine set up so it plays a certain sound. So you just do play sound. And what you want to do is you want to choose a file. So I'm going to go into my stream stuff, and I'm going to do follow clip. That's because I've already produced a follow clip, and now it's in there. I'm gonna set it to probably 3 or 4. We can adjust it as we go, through trial and error and testing. And that's just a sound we can choose to add if we want to. If you don't want to add one, you don't have to. It's completely up to you. I add one because that's how I want my stream to be. So it's usually something which is upbeat, which will play. See if I can get it to pump that out to you. That's basically how we're going to set it up. And then what you can do is you can set it to play a TTS if you wanted to. So text to speech. And I've got mine set up to say, welcome to the hoo-ha faction. So again, you follow the same subscript of $user, so that when it grabs it, it grabs that username and it prints it into your TTS. So follow, and that's done. That's our preset effect list set. So then we want to create one for cheer effects. Again, we follow the same celebration. These are just basic effects. This is before you go into the real overlays and stuff, and we're going to choose fireworks because it's different. And then we're going to play another sound. So I've got another one pre-set up. We're going to call this one bits. So that's 4 done. And then we want to set up TTS. Text to speech. Select. And I've already written mine, so I'm just going to copy it over to here. And as you can see, again, I've used $user cheered. They have cheered a total of $bits cheered in brackets user. So what it will do now is it will take that person's username and it will then contact a server and find out exactly how many bits they've cheered in my channel. And then it will read that out. So it won't, TTS won't go $user cheered. They have cheered a total of $bits cheered in brackets $user close brackets bits in the channel. It won't say that. It will say, for example, Henry Hoo-Ha cheered. They have cheered a total of 500 bits in the channel. And that's how it prints it out. It looks completely different to how it's going to say it, but that's how it gets its data. And then all you do is click add and save. And then we're going to do the same for sub. Just call it sub. Now I'm going to set this up so I play a sound first. I've got another clip for that which I've set up. And we'll click wait for sound to finish. Okay. And then we're going to do another text to speech and have it read out a body of text which I've already written. Again, we're going to use the same body syntax of $user, and it will grab their name and say Henry Hoo-Ha subscribed and is now a member of the Hoo-Ha faction. You don't need to use any particular punctuation on this unless you're writing something extremely long, because it's TTS and it won't recognize it as such. So full stops and stuff, you don't need it. You can click add, and then because it's a sub-say, we're going to want to do fireworks for 5 seconds, and we're going to want to do confetti for 5 seconds, because you can stack these up and they'll do multiple. And that's our sub list. So we've got all of our preset effects for follow, cheer and sub all set up already. So then what we could do as well is we can set up a preset effect list for shoutouts. So shoutout, add new effect. So what we do is we'd set up something called show shoutout, and it shows a shoutout. It shows a little graphic in the corner, and what it will do is it will show a graphic like this on your stream. Now in order to grab their user, we're going to set it to user, because it's a preset effect list and we can use user as it's one of those pass-throughs. And I'm going to set it to middle right. 8 seconds is about enough time. And we'll just click add, and then we'll set up play a video. And what you can do is, as it says, you can play a local YouTube or Twitch video in the overlay. And what this means is you can actually set it to play a random Twitch clip, and then you can actually set it to be from that user. And we're going to set that duration to say 12 seconds. Wait for clip to finish. And then to make it a little bit smaller, because currently it's going to sit in the middle of our screen, it's going to be a little too big. So I'm going to force the ratio still, but I'm going to set it to 1200 and probably put it in the bottom right corner. And I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. And then we can do something called an announcement. And I've got one pre-set up just here. Copy, paste. And I've just set mine up to say go give at user, and it will grab their username, a follow, Twitch user, their last streaming category user. Same as the command we set up of the manual SO, but instead of using target, we've used user because it is part of a preset effect list. And then we just click add, and that is our shout out done. And I suppose the only other one you could set up is probably a personalized shout out, and I'll show you a little bit how to do those. Personalized SO. And what we'll do for this is we'll set it up to say show shout out. It'll show this again. We're going to set it to be $user for 8 seconds. Same, add. And then we're going to set it up to announce. Help if I can spell. Announce. And I've got it set up. It's the same as before. Copy. And paste that over. Add. Now the only other thing is we need to set this up with an argument. And how you do this is you can I believe. No, sorry, this is an event. We don't do this bit yet. So that's all of our preset effect list set up. Now, in order to set up our personalized effects list, we need to go into something called viewer roles, and you can create a custom viewer role, and we're going to call this streamer SO list. And what that means is that we can set this up to have auto shoutout set up for certain users. So I'm going to set one up called snakes rule. So I've got this in like separate account, and you add that. So that means they're in that auto shoutout list now. But nothing's going to happen while they're in that list because we haven't set up an event yet. So want to make sure we've set up all of our things, which I believe we have. And we have. So now, next, we can go to our events, and you can click new event. So we'll probably start with our stream alerts. So you can choose when it wants to trigger. So you can trigger it on a chat message, a chat highlight, bits badge unlocked, announcements. You can trigger on anything pretty much, but we're going to trigger on a follow when someone follows your channel. Okay, name follow, and all we do is we add an effect called run effect list, and then you choose which effect list preset, and we choose follow. Click add, save. That's it. That's our follow now set up automatically. And then we can go into new event again, and we can do cheer. Again, run effects list, preset, cheer. Done. Save. Trigger on sub. Add new effect. Run effect list, preset, sub. Done. Save. So that's our main stream, like stream alerts. And then if we want to do something like a shout out, we'll call this on, say, viewer arrived. Now this is going to be our auto shout out list. So we'll click that one. And filters, you can base it on whether their username is or viewer roles. So I'm going to click viewer roles, include streamer SO list, save. And it's as simple as that. So it means any usernames in that list will get them passed to this event. So then what you can do is you just set up something called conditional effects. So we'll select that, and it will give you if clauses and else clauses. So what this means is you can set up a personalized shout out just for a certain person if you want to, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And what this means is you can set up an effect. So the effect we can use is a run effect list again, and because it's a personalized one, we're going to use personalized SO, and that will run that effect list because we've already made that up. We don't have to change it. That's already pre-set up. Now if we want to add like a secondary video, say, or sound clip, we could do play sound, and I'm just going to choose a just going to choose that as a random one, and that's going to be like the sound it plays automatically. But you can set that up so that username is expected value snakes rule 2012. You do need to know their username exactly, otherwise it won't work, but you don't need to use any variable $ signals. Username is snakes rule. It will run the effect list and play a certain sound or play a certain video. Now, if any of the usernames on there aren't listed in an if or an else if clause, it will run an otherwise clause, which you can set to run a preset effect list again. And we set up one which was just called Shoutout, remember? And we just set it to that. That's it. We're done. That is our personalized shoutout list and our normal shoutout list set up. Probably change the name of it to SO. Cool. And that's our shoutout list automatically sorted. This is our auto shoutout, so you'll never need to shout these people out using the exclamation mark SO command. It will just automatically do it in your Firebot as long as it's turned on. And then what we can do is we can set up a timer. So now we've got most of our events set up and most of our commands set up, we can set up something called a timer. Now, you know when you set up a timer in Stream Elements and say no one talks in your channel for half an hour and all the timers go past their interval and then someone starts chatting, your bots will print out like 4 or 5 different lines of all those different timers because it's been waiting to post them. And now as soon as it's got the okay to say, oh, all our text lines are okay now, we're just going to post them. This can do that, but you can also set it up so it doesn't. And I'll show you exactly how we can do that. So first thing we want to do is set up a counter. You just click OK, and we're going to call this counter add. And we're just going to click save. That's it. And then we can go into timers and click new timer. And we're going to call this timer tech spam, because that's just what we have. And we'll probably set it up on an interval of 5 minutes, which is 300 seconds. And then what we'll do is we'll run a conditional effects list. Conditional effects, like before, it allows you to run multiple different effects on an if and an else clause. So what we're basically going to say to it is if custom. So what we'll do is we'll set if bracket counter. Oh, I need a $ in there too. If counter add that should be right, yeah. Counter add is 1. It will show it like that. It will run a certain effect, and that first effect we're going to call is chat. It will send a chat message, and we can set it so it either chats a streamer, or if you've got a second bot set up, you can set up a bot to do it. And what we'll do is I've got one preset up here. Copy and paste it over there. If you're enjoying the stream, please drop me a follow. And then we're going to set up something called a update counter, and it updates that counter's value because you've linked it to the counter. So what we want to do is increment by 1. So make sure you've got it set to increment value 1, so it will push the counter up by 1. If you do it to set, it will set it to 1. So it recognizes that's the counter and it links it from where we've just made it in there. It links it to here and says counter add is 1. If it's set to 1, it will play that chat message, and then it will update it by 1. which makes it then 2. So then we can add an if-else clause. Again, we'll set it up on a custom to be counter add closed square brackets if counter is 2, save, and then we'll do another chat message. I've got a different message here I'm going to put in here. It's my socials. For more updates, you can follow me on Twitter, and then all your links. You just click add as a chat, and then again you'll go into update counter, and we'll select add as the counter, increment by 1 again. And what that means is it will then put the counter up to number 3, and then you can select else if again, open that up, custom, if $counter square bracket open, add close square bracket is 3. So it's all dependent on whether it hits that number. If it doesn't hit that number, it won't ever play this. And then we're going to do chat. And it's up to you whether you put anything in here. You can end it at any time. This is just an example. So we're going to do example, add, and then we'll do update counter again, but we're going to do it slightly differently. Select add. Remember how we did increment before, so it always just bumped the counter up another number? We're going to use set now, so it will set it back to 1. And what that basically means is that it will go back to the first step. So you could have 10 of these set up, and then as soon as you set it to update counter to 1, or set it to 1, it will go back to this, and it will go back to running the same loop again and again. And that is our tech timer setup. And all you've got to do now to get it running is open your counter and set the value to 1. And that's it. You don't need to touch it again. It's done. It's completed. And it will just work. So that's our basic commands, events, basic timer, our counter, all our preset effect lists, and a basic streamer SO list. So now what we want to do is we want to test this in OBS. So we'll bring this down, makes it smaller. Now you notice in the bottom of Firebot, there's a little toggle. Now this toggle is to connect you to Twitch. And if it's not turned on, it won't work. So any of the commands I do won't work. SO, say at Henry Who Are. It does nothing. As you can see, it does absolutely nothing. So then we'll set it up and we'll click toggle. And it shows Twitch is connected, overlays connected. So it knows that it's going to work fine. So we'll stick this over here. So now when I do SO at Henry Hoo Ha, it prints out that message, and then what it should do is play our shoutout. Oh, okay, so I see what I've done. I've only set up an SO link, so I've got 2 commands I normally have set up. I've got SO link and then I've got a normal SO. So in this SO, we want to switch it over to advanced mode. And what that means is allowing it to bring over a show shoutout. So we want to set our thing to target, so it grabs the target, but why didn't it do that? $target, add. And we'll flick that up so that one plays first. And we can choose it as well if we want to play a video. So play video, select random Twitch clip from target again for 12 seconds, wait for clip to finish, add, save. So now that's set up, it should work. Oh, there's too many O's. Whoopsie. There we go. So then it will bring up my logo and it will show you what one of my recent clips were. And it will show any of them. So it doesn't matter which streamer it is, whether it's me, yourself, it will play a clip from that person's channel rather than something from your own channel. And you can also set it up to play a specific clip if you wanted to. If there's a clip on your own channel which you want it to play every single time, and all you do by that is just go into play video and select Twitch clip, and it'll give you an option to select its URL or ID. But I've just got it set to random with target grab, and that's set up. And that shows you it's on screen. Now, in terms of audio, to set this up, so it should be playing audio. Why does it keep moving? So when it plays, will we see audio from here? Yes. So we've got audio coming out of Firebot Overlay 1. So we know the audio is working for that. For TTS and some of the other cheers, you may not get that. And I'll show you why that is so. So if we wanted to do, say, TTS, it may not come through the overlay. TTS, hello world. Now it hasn't come through the overlay. So what we may need to do is set up another audio source. We can set that up by doing our audio application capture, like in the last video. We're going to call this Firebot Audio. Okay. And we're going to set the window to Firebot v5. All of these are just other windows, they're not the ones you're looking for. You're looking for Firebot. And then you click OK. And what that will do is you can open your properties, make sure it's all correct. And over here, you've got Firebot Audio. So next time when you do TTS, help. So there we go, we've got it coming out of Firebot Audio now. So if you haven't set up your TTS, make sure you add your voice. And then you should be able to do TTS, help me. And it comes out of Firebot Audio. So if you try and do TTS and it's not appearing on the overlay, the chances are it's going to come out of Firebot Audio. So we need to set up that audio application capture from OBS 28 to get that to work. And I thought I'd make sure I show you exactly how I worked out, because when I first started using TTS I was like, why is it not playing? It should be playing. It wasn't playing, and I was like, what's going on here? And I worked out I was able to hear it, but I needed OBS to capture it, so I had to use that audio application capture for it to work, rather than using something like Voice Meter. And it means you can keep it all within OBS and all controllable within OBS. And then you've got your volume sliders, so you can adjust the actual volume of it, so you don't deafen your viewers. So now we know TTS works. We're then going to open up Firebot again. And we're going to do, say, an event. So we want to do say a cheer event. So we can click test on it, and you'll see the graphic is playing. It's coming out of Firebot audio, but we want to turn that down a bit so we don't deafen all of our viewers. So now we know that's working, we then can test, say, sub. Click that. Now sometimes it has to wait until everything's like fully finished and it's finished like processing before it will actually play the next one. The test I do find on Firebot is a little bit sketchy as to whether it will actually play or not. Test effects. There we go. So it's finally worked out. That's what it needs to play, and then it will be playing the TTS in the background or any sounds you've got associated with that effect list. So what I'll do now is I'll open up and bring something else into my channel if it wants to work. So now I've brought something into my channel, I'm going to have them type a test message, and what this will do is Firebot will recognize that test message, and the next thing it will do is it will search for that person's name automatically. What it will do is it will recognize they're from that streamer list, and then it will go to the event of personalized SO and recognize that if their name's Snake's Rule 2012, it will then run its effect list. So I'm going to have them type test message, and you'll see it in chat, test, and it's automatically running their shoutout. Now because they don't have a clip, it's not going to play it, and I've not set it up to run a clip. It's running an audio sound, which is why we can see Firebot audio playing a sound there. Which I should be able to set up so you guys can hear it too. So if you close down Firebot, it will disconnect itself and it won't play any more of the things you want it to run. So every time you reopen it, you have to toggle connections again. So we can get, now we've restarted again, we can get them to send another test message. And now you should be able to hear it, and it's playing that audio clip I had set up before. So that's essentially how you set up your basic alerts on Firebot and have them run perfectly within stream. The only other thing you might want to do is set up something called a effect queue. And we're going to call this effect queue stream alerts. And what this does is it will basically run them sequentially on an interval. And we'll set the interval time up individually, we'll say. So on our events, if we click edit, you can set something called a queue, and we're going to call it stream alerts, and we're going to say it's got a queue priority of yes. Now because there's no interval set up on this version, it won't give you that option. You can then go back into your effect queues, click edit, and go to custom, and what it will do is it means that we're complete custom mode, and you can choose how it runs per event. So when we go back to our events, you can then go back into edit or follow. It will give you your effect duration on there, in which case you can then go into your effect list for follow. Oops. And we can work out how long this effect runs for. So we've got 16 seconds on an audio clip. So what we'll do is we'll set up our event follow with a duration of 15 seconds. Save. And then we'll check our cheer. How long does that last? 15 seconds. So then we can go back in, edit, set our effect queue, 15 seconds. And we'll do a queue priority of yes, because it's a priority. We want to be able to advertise our follows, our cheers and subs before everything else. And then we'll do the same in sub. Set yes. Yes, it's queue priority. Go into your presets again. Check how long your sub runs for. So sub is 28 seconds. Because it's an important thing, a sub is people directly supporting your channel. So you can then go back into your events and select sub. And this is why we set up a custom queue, because we can actually set it to 28 seconds, whereas the rest are only 16. And then on our personalized SO, we can set it to have a queue, but it's got a queue priority of no. And then what we want to make sure is that our sounds and stuff don't last a certain amount of time. So we can set it to, say, 30 seconds. And what that means is that it's not the top of the queue priority, so it won't come out first. The cheers, subs and follows will come first, and then this will play. And by the effect duration, it basically means that you don't have the follow playing at the same time as the cheer, or the cheer playing at the same time as the sub. It means you can stagger it all out, so they don't all play at the same time. If you get, say, a raid in, and you have 4 people sub at the same time, you want it to read each one out. You don't want it to go because it's trying to talk over itself, because it will just try and talk over itself and play all the effects at the same time. And that's why we set up an effect queue, so this doesn't happen. So I believe that is the entire Firebot set up. And as you can see, if we do, say, a follow effect, it will read the TTS out, it will play the sound. Now you'll have to work out on your end exactly how loud you want it to be, and how the TTS merges on the levels with how loud the TTS is versus how loud the sound is. You'll have to work that out through trial and error. It does take time. It's not as simple as just setting it up and knowing it's going to be like that. You do have to spend time going through, checking it out, making sure everything's working. Obviously, you'll hear Firebot on your end, unless, of course, you mute your desktop audio for Firebot, if you can do that. And if you do, we can then follow the same process of listening. If you want to hear what's coming out of Firebot overlay, you go into your advanced properties. If you can't hear it for some reason, I'm not sure how your PC's set up, and it could be that you can't hear it. If you can't hear it, turn on monitor and output. It means you'll be able to hear what the stream's hearing. It's as simple as that. That's the simple setup of Firebot. This is before you go into the real in-depth stuff. This is as basic as I could get it to include as many decent features for your stream as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope it was informative. Please leave me feedback. I'd love to hear some, so I can try and make these videos better in the future. If you could drop us a like and subscribe, it'd be most helpful to me. And I hope you guys have a good day. I'll see you guys next time.